Today, we're going to tell you everything we wish we knew when we started hiking. Neither of us was an outdoors person growing up, so we've learned everything we know through trial and error and some avoidable suffering.
So today we're going to talk about everything we've learned from our mistakes while hiking up Lassen Peak in Lassen National Park in Northern California, which is about 200 miles north of where we live.
Our priorities on every trip outside are to 1. Survive, because that's not guaranteed. 2. Be reasonably comfortable. And 3. Have fun, whatever that means to us that day.
This starts when we're planning. To choose a destination, we start by looking for things we find compelling or interesting that suit the amount of time and energy we have. In this case, we haven't been to Lassen before. We like volcanoes, and we also want to fit this hike into a day where we're driving 4 hours to get there and coming from sea level, so not acclimated enough to do something harder or higher. So this trail, about 5 miles and 2,000 feet of elevation gain, with some snow cover, should be just about the right difficulty level for us today.
Even when we're expecting to just go for a day hike, we try to be fully prepared for what might happen, which for us means being aware of what conditions will likely be, not bringing everything that could possibly be useful in any scenario. We need to check the weather, the low and high temperatures, but also precipitation, and ideally humidity, wind, and cloud cover. We need to know daylight hours, when sunrise and sunset are, and hopefully the moon phase and moon rise and set times if we might be there at dark.
We try to get a good idea of conditions, like whether there will be snow, how much shade there will be, and how easy it'll be to navigate. So the Lassen Peak Trail is mostly above tree line, and it's a defined trail, but there's still maybe snow on the ground, which we'll have to navigate around, and which may hide the trail at times. And it's helpful to find out whether or not there's cell reception, in case we need to call each other or emergency services.
Then we check whether or not the roads are open, in case a landslide or snow or roadwork will stop us from getting there. The road we're taking today was closed just a week ago, but it looks open now. The most important lesson we've learned is to always use trekking poles and to learn to use them well. We used to think they weren't for us, or we'd leave them behind because we didn't want to carry them, but we've learned that they always make hiking more fun. They make us stronger and better hikers by letting us use our arms to help push forward and up when we're going uphill, and helping us brake and take weight off our knees and ankles when going downhill. We can use them to keep our balance when we're crossing a stream or navigating some trees or rocks. They help us avoid injuries, and they just let us hike further and get less tired each day.
The ones we use are these inexpensive ones from Amazon, which we'll link in the description. We've tried more expensive ones too, and didn't find much of a difference.
Just make sure that they have lever-style locks instead of the twisty ones, and cork-like handles instead of plain plastic.
We also get more out of our poles by using the straps to move the poles and transfer our weight to the poles, instead of depending on our grip.
When we're outside, our clothing is our key system to protect us against the elements. When we're in places with lots of sun exposure, like the desert or here, we prefer wearing long-sleeve sun shirts like this, rather than short-sleeve shirts and shorts. Our skin stays cooler if it's covered rather than exposed to direct sunlight.
Stay away from cotton in most conditions. Choose polyester or nylon if it's hot, or wool if it's cold. And we always wear a hat with the brim no matter what the conditions are. The brim helps keep sun, rain, sweat, and trees out of our eyes. It helps stop our faces from getting sunburned or skin cancerous. And if it's buggy out, it keeps our mosquito head nets off our faces so that bugs can't bite us through it.
Speaking of which, mosquitoes are enemies. If we're going to be in a buggy place, we can first treat our clothes with permethrin, or buy clothes that are pre-treated with it.
Definitely get a head net. When we're only dealing with big bugs, we prefer the mosquito nets to the no-see-um nets, which are a little hard to see and breathe through.
And for the skin that's still exposed, like our hands and ankles and neck, there's DEET. It might melt our plastics, but it really works. We are sometimes carrying a climbing rope and other gear made of synthetic fibers that will get damaged by DEET, so we avoid using it when it might damage something life-critical.
But if you don't have this problem, DEET is amazing and toxic. We find the right balance of repellent and toxicity around 30 to 40%. We've never needed to go higher, but lower concentrations might work too. And polarized sunglasses are key to protect our eyes and prevent glare, especially if there's snow out, like there is here.
You can get these super dorky ones that go over your eyeglasses, very cool, or regular ones.
And carry your sunscreen with you. Don't just apply it once at the beginning of the day. You can use either a chemical or physical sunscreen. Find one that works for you and keep reapplying as it sweats off.
Footwear is the most important piece of clothing for outside. We've tried tennis shoes, don't do it, and hiking boots, but we've mostly settled on trail runners for hiking. They dry quickly and provide plenty of support at a much lower weight than boots. But either one works. The most important factor is the fit.
And more importantly, wear the right socks. We've found wool the best for moisture management and comfort. These smart wools have lasted for hundreds of miles and are comfy.
And this tape has been a game changer for us. It's a rigid strapping tape, and we use it on any hot spots to stop them from becoming blisters. We've stayed blister-free since starting to use this.
We always download maps onto our phones, which are GPS devices, but print paper topographic maps too. We get these at caltopo.com for free. Even when we're hiking on a developed trail, we can lose so much time trying to figure out if we're going the wrong way or overshooting our target.
Map reading and compass skills are super important, and we'll probably put up a couple separate videos on them in case anyone wants to dive deeper. Phones die, but hopefully we'll always have our brains. And we always do bring headlamps, emergency blankets, and a tiny first aid kit. Plus, if we're in the mountains, some kind of emergency rain gear, even if it's not supposed to rain. They're fairly inexpensive, they're pretty light, and they are such lifesavers when you need them.
Even if our hike is pretty short, we might find ourselves out after dark, and the headlamps and emergency blankets might save our lives.
We've used 100% of these items on our trips and never regretted the wait.
And as an extra bonus, let's talk about hiking in snow. This year, the snowpack in California was historically heavy, so snow conditions persist in many places even though we're deep into summer.
So for packed snow like we have here, we carry pairs of microspikes and just slip them on when we run into extended patches of snow. Microspikes are these assemblies of chains and small spikes that give you added traction, kind of like tire chains.
And the microspikes work really well if you have packed snow or ice on relatively low angle surfaces. The poles with these snow baskets on also make walking through snow much easier.
Snow also covers signs of the trail, so navigation with GPS, by looking around, and with map and compass become much more critical. So we get to become off-trail hikers by just hiking anywhere in the mountains this year.
If the snow is deeper and softer than this, or the angle steeper, we'd need more serious gear, crampons and at some point ice axes. But for something like this, microspikes are perfect. Thanks for making it to Lassen Peak and back down with us.
We'd love to hear any tips you have that you wish you'd learned earlier, and thanks so much for watching. And check this out if you want to go off the trail.